a guide to the 10 best types of rice, and how to cook with them. Rice is a staple around the world, prepared and enjoyed in so many ways. And there are almost as many different types of rice as there are ways to eat it. In order to pick which type of rice you want to cook, it's important to be able to distinguish your basmati from your arborio from your wild rice, and know how to cook each distinctive type of rice. Still, every rice shares similarities. All rice is brown to begin with. It's the hulling process that determines if it's brown, black, red, or white, explains Britta Lundberg, a fourth-generation farmer at Lundberg Family Farms, which grows organic and non-GMO grains. Rice has 3 significant defining qualities: color, length, typically short or long grain, and texture. When it comes to length and texture, the basic rule is that they're related, explains Lundberg. The shorter the rice, the stickier it will be. Slender rices, like basmati and jasmine, stay more separate when cooked, and are lighter and drier. Rice is typically sold in packages in the dry goods section of the grocery store, but remember that rice is an agricultural product, like produce. Sure, it's shelf-stable, but it's a plant from a farm that could use a good wash. Rinsing rice, before cooking, helps remove any dirt, dust, or debris. It also helps remove excess starch, to help achieve a fluffy texture. To easily wash your rice, add the amount you want to cook to a mesh sieve, and run it under cold water while shaking it. Whole grain rice should only take about 30 seconds to wash, while white rice takes about 1 to 2 minutes to wash. By rinsing your rice, you can be sure that it is clean, properly hydrated, and well textured. Once the water rinsing the rice runs clear, not cloudy, go ahead and start cooking. Once your rice is clean, it's time to cook. Every type of rice has a unique liquid to grain ratio and cook time, so setting a timer and keeping an eye on the pot, not lifting the lid, is a good idea. For a little less guesswork, consider buying a rice cooker. Whether you're cooking rice on the stove or in a rice cooker, always using the package directions as your guide to the best rice. As a starting place, here's how to cook several different types of rice, and how to best enjoy them. Main rice types. Before we delve into specifics, let's discuss the main rice types. In addition to being categorized by size, short, medium, and long grain rice, different types of rice also have different textures and uses. Short grain rice, which is also known as japonica rice, is the smallest of the bunch, which means the grains are short and plump. Due to its shape, short grain rice tends to clump together when cooked. Short grain rice also contains more starch than long grain varieties. Common examples of short grain rice are sushi rice and arborio rice. As its name suggests, medium grain rice is shorter and wider than long grain rice, but longer than short grain rice. Common examples of medium grain rice are bomba rice and arborio rice. You use this type of rice to make paella and risotto. Long grain rice is known for its long and slim shape, and is longer than it is wide. It's beloved for being light and fluffy, and doesn't clump together. Common examples of long grain rice are basmati rice and jasmine rice. You use this type of rice to make rice pilaf, a rice bowl, and as the base of a stir-fry. Varieties of rice. Now that you know the main rice types, let's delve into the specific varieties of rice. Note that each of the below falls into the short grain, medium grain, or long grain rice category. Basmati rice. Basmati rice can be white or brown, and each type has a slightly different cooking method. Perfectly cooked basmati rice should be fluffy, and can be served as a side dish with curries and stews, or made into a pilaf. For white basmati rice, add rinsed rice, 1½ cups water, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt to a medium saucepan. Bring to a boil. Stir once, cover, and reduce heat to a simmer for 18 minutes. Remove from the heat and keep the lid on to steam for 5 minutes. Fluff with a fork, and serve. Because brown basmati rice is a whole grain, it takes a bit longer to cook. To do so, combine 1 cup of brown basmati rice with 2 cups of water and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Bring to a boil, stir, and cover. Reduce the heat to a simmer and cook for 50 minutes. Remove from heat, and keep the lid on to steam for 5 additional minutes. Fluff with a fork, and serve. Jasmine rice is a long grain rice, similar to basmati, and also comes in white and brown varieties. For white jasmine rice, you'll want a 1 to 1.5 rice to water ratio. Rinse 1 cup of rice until the water runs clear, and add it to a pot with 1.5 cups water or other liquid. Bring to a boil, cover with a tight-fitting lid, and lower the heat to simmer for 15 minutes. Remove from the heat, keeping the lid on. Let the cooked rice rest for 10 minutes. Fluff with a fork, and serve. For brown jasmine rice, use a rice-to-liquid ratio of 1 to 2 and cook for 40 minutes before resting and fluffing. Jasmine rice is commonly used in a range of recipes and cuisines, including Mexican red rice, Cuban black beans and rice, coconut rice, and herby rice salad with chickpeas and pistachios. It can also be added to soups, and more. Brown rice. A lot of people don't realize you have to cook brown rice and white rice completely differently. Brown rice still has that bran intact, so you need more water and more time to cook it. For brown rice, you'll want to combine your rinsed rice, liquid, and some butter or oil to a pot, bring it to a boil, and then cover with a tight-fitting lid to simmer for 40–45 minutes. Do not lift the lid. Then, let the rice continue to steam for 10 minutes, fluff with a fork, and serve. Generally, you'll need about 1 3/4 cup liquid per 1 cup of brown rice, but some brown rice may require slightly more or less liquid, depending on the shape. Leftover brown rice can be used in fried rice, or to create a healthy chicken and avocado rice bowl with protein and veggies. Forbidden rice, also called black rice or sometimes purple rice, can add a dramatic hue, texture, and some extra nutrition to any rice dish. It's really beautiful and naturally black, not dyed. It's a rich source of vitamins and fiber, plus antioxidants. It's also really easy to use in place of short-grain brown rice in any recipe, and should be cooked the same way as brown rice. To do so, use a ratio of 1 cup of black rice to 1 3/4 cup liquid, bring to a boil, and then cover tightly and simmer for 40–45 minutes. Allow the rice to steam for 10 minutes without lifting the lid. Sushi rice is a short-grain rice that can be used for making sushi, nigiri, poke bowls, and so much more. Though it's known for being sticky, it's not the same as glutinous rice. Sushi rice is best prepared with a 1–2 minute rinse under fresh water, until the water rinsing the rice runs clear instead of cloudy. Then, soak the rice for 30 minutes in the pot you'll use to cook the rice, with enough water to cover all the grains. Drain the rice, and return it to the pot with fresh water. A 1:1 ratio is ideal for short-grain rice, like sushi rice. Bring it to a boil and immediately lower the heat to a simmer. Cover tightly and cook for 10 minutes. Remove from heat and let it steam with the lid on for 10 more minutes. Ever wonder how sushi rice sticks together so perfectly? Once cooked, the very starchy rice is typically combined with rice vinegar, sugar, and salt. When the rice has cooled and the liquid is absorbed, it's even easier to mold. Bomba rice, also called Valencia rice, is a short-grain rice originally from Valencia, Spain. It's commonly featured in paella and other Spanish dishes, and can be used in any recipe calling for short-grain white rice. Because this type of rice is cultivated for paella, it excels at absorbing liquid, so you'll want to use a 1 cup rice to 1 3/4 cup liquid ratio, and perhaps use a broth, some wine, or other flavorful liquid to make the most of this rice that captures the flavor of its cooking liquid. To make it, rinse the rice until the liquid is clear. However, some people making paella prefer to reserve the outer starch and not rinse the rice. Bring 1 3/4 cup of liquid to a boil, stir in rice, and cover and simmer for 20 minutes. Let the rice rest for 5 minutes and fluff. Arborio rice is an Italian short-grain white rice typically used in risotto. Similar to bomba rice, it absorbs liquid and flavor nicely, but arborio rice is longer, while bomba rice is rounder, meaning arborio rice lends itself to have a starchier, creamier quality. Of course, arborio rice can be cooked by following any risotto recipe, which requires constant attention and stirring in warm liquid in small portions at a time. Or, arborio rice can be cooked like other white rice, with a ratio of 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water. To cook arborio rice, bring 2 cups of lightly salted water to a boil. Add a pat of butter or olive oil, if desired. Stir in arborio rice, and cover and cook on low heat for 20 minutes. Keep stirring to ensure the liquid is absorbed. Because of its stickiness and creaminess, arborio rice also works well in rice pudding. Also called glutinous rice, sticky rice is known for being, well, sticky. It's a Southeast Asian staple, and can be eaten along with savory, spicy, and sweet dishes. Because of its stickiness, glutinous rice has a much different cooking method. You'll steam it, than many types of Western rice. Start by soaking your sticky rice for at least 6 hours, or up to 24 hours. Then, pour off the excess water. Set up a steamer, bamboo or metal works best, over a shallow pot of boiling water, adding a steamer liner to prevent the rice from sticking. Add rice in a thin layer, and cover, allowing it to steam for 30 minutes. Let the rice rest and serve immediately. This steaming method can also work for other types of short grain rice for a stickier texture. Wild rice is actually not even rice, it's a marsh grass seed from the rivers of Canada and Minnesota, and it's super tall. However, this wild grass seed can be used in similar ways as rice, and tastes similar and cooks similarly as well. To make wild rice, bring 2 1/4 cups of water to a boil in a medium saucepan with 8 ounces of wild rice. Cover with a tight-fitting lid and reduce to a simmer. Cook for 45 minutes without lifting the lid. Let the rice steam for 10 minutes. The texture of wild rice is really a personal preference. For a chewier texture, cook it for less than 45 minutes. If you prefer a tender, fluffier texture, cook the rice for 46 minutes or more. Parboiled rice is rice that has been partially cooked, boiled, to make the cook time faster. It can be a weeknight staple, and comes in many varieties, including white and brown. Typically, the package instructions are most accurate for how long this semi-cooked rice needs to reheat and cook. You can also soak your parboiled rice, or cook it in the microwave, to speed up the cook time. Standard American parboiled rice can be added to boiling water, in a ratio of 2 cups of water to 1 cup of parboiled rice, and simmered for 20 minutes. Rice blends work best in pilafs, casseroles, and other rice side dishes. Just note that when you're selecting different types of rice to blend, opt for rice types that have similar cooking times for the best results. What is the difference between white rice and brown rice? Brown rice is a whole grain that contains the bran and germ, which are parts of the grain that include important nutrients, such as vitamin B and zinc. White rice is processed, and doesn't contain the bran and germ, where many of the grain's nutrients are found. Since white rice is missing those outer layers, it is softer than brown rice and cooks more quickly. Which type of rice is the healthiest? Forbidden rice, which is also known as black rice, is one of the healthiest rice varieties you can buy. It's high in fiber, is a great source of muscle-building protein, and has nutrients that can help lower cholesterol and aid healthy digestion. Other healthy rice varieties are wild rice and brown rice, including types like brown jasmine rice and brown basmati rice. Which type of rice is the least healthy? Since white rice has been processed and doesn't contain the nutrient-dense bran and germ, it doesn't have the vitamins and minerals you'll find in healthier rice varieties, such as black rice and brown rice. White rice is also high in carbohydrates, and offers little fiber and protein. Lastly, white rice has a high glycemic index, which means eating it can cause unhealthy blood sugar spikes.